Harry Kane has today confirmed he will be staying at Tottenham for the coming season amid a crazy, crazy transfer saga throughout the duration of this window. He will be staying. He will not be playing with Manchester City next season. Harry Kane remains one of our own. He put out a statement on Twitter in the last half an hour or 45 minutes, which we will be running through, and also taking a look at what all this means, where this has come from, why it's happened, and exactly what the future, mainly this season, does hold for Tottenham and for Harry Kane. Before I do get into that, if you are new to the channel, please do, as always, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more streams like this, plus more Tottenham transfer roundup streams, and a big 12-hour stream coming on deadline day, keeping you up to date with all of Tottenham's dealings right up to the last minute of the transfer window. If you do also want to vote for me as the best young content creator of 2021, there's a link at the top of the description that will help you out on that one. But without further ado, let's not jump around it. Let's get straight into it. And Harry Kane, at 1:45, 31 minutes ago, released this statement on all of his social media platforms. And he said, "It was incredible to see the reception from the Spurs fans on Sunday and to read some of the messages of support I've had in the last few weeks. I will be staying at Tottenham this summer and will be 100% focused on helping the team achieve success." A lot of fans have been calling for any sort of a statement from the club, for any sort of a statement from Harry Kane. And it has finally come with a bit of clarity. The last we heard from Harry Kane was I don't even know what adjective to put on it, the statement where really everyone thought he was lying. Well, a lot of people thought he was lying. On I think it was the Friday or the Saturday after he reportedly missed training, he released a statement saying that wasn't the case and blah, blah, blah. Just doesn't even matter at this point now. It doesn't really matter anymore because this is the clarity we have been searching for. Spurs have retweeted it and posted this on Instagram themselves. This is a very coordinated announcement, I would say. This isn't just something Harry Kane has put out on a whim. And a lot of people saying he's been missing the hashtag Come On You Spurs at the end of his tweets. Well, it's back in that beautiful blue hashtag Come On You Spurs. Kane is staying. And look, I didn't exactly wake up this morning expecting this to happen, but anyone who watches this channel knows I expected for the majority of the summer for Harry Kane to stay. And of course, I think as is the case with a lot of Spurs fans, there was a few moments when he kind of felt, okay, maybe this is coming, when City began upping their bid to about £127 million was the biggest bid they actually made for the player. It was around that point where I started to get a little bit concerned. I think, well, maybe City could come in with a bid high enough for Harry Kane. And it certainly didn't play out the way I expected it. It didn't play out the way a lot of fans expected it, and that I never for a second imagined Harry Kane would dodge training, whether that is true or not. But a lot of the kind of things he did and the stuff that was leaked to the press, the Sun mainly, assumingly from his brother Charlie Kane, it didn't play out the way I expected it, but it has ended in the way I expected it, and that is with Harry Kane lining up for Spurs again next season. And look, this could go some way in explaining why, or a transfer window, the rumours were really starting to heat up about a week or two ago with Lautaro Martinez, with Dusan Vlahovic, a few midfielders and a few central defenders, which we haven't since brought in. Maybe that was Spurs were going in for them in a Paratici style where he gets these players ready if they are needed to come in and replace a potential big departure. Maybe they were there as fail-safes if Harry Kane did move on from the club. However, he hasn't. Maybe that's why those dealings have died down. Of course, there is a few that are still going, and we'll touch on those a little bit before we do end the stream. Shauna says the saga ended for now. Kev says, "Hi Matt, question: how do you feel about Harry Kane staying?" There is an element of mixed emotion. I feel like up until this statement came out, if I'd been asked how I would feel if it happened, or if Kane confirmed that he'd be staying at the club, of course I'm happy that he's staying. He's the best striker in the Premier League. He's for me the second best striker in the world behind Robert Lewandowski. Simply because of Lewandowski's goal scoring exploits last season, where he got 41 in a league season. So of course I'm absolutely delighted, but with the way it's played out, with the lack of respect, I think, that was shown to the fans by Harry Kane, if it is true, as I believe it was, that he didn't turn up for training when had been initially agreed and all that crap. There is an element of he still doesn't want to be here. And I think that's something we will all have to come to accept. But the main thing is what we know will happen, and what the likes of Fabrizio Romano and Alistair Gold have been telling us, that if Harry Kane ended up staying, he would give 100% for this football club. And he said it himself, I'll be 100% focused on helping the team achieve success. And I believe that. And I think every Spurs fan will believe that as well, because he's always showed the utmost professionalism on the pitch. Now, granted, a couple of weeks ago, I would have said he's almost always showed the utmost professionalism off the pitch as well. But he's on the pitch, and while he's here, he wants Jimmy Greaves' record. He wants to be the all-time top goal scorer at Tottenham while he's at the club. He wants Alan Shearer's record as the all-time leading goal scorer in the Premier League. And he can't afford to waste a season, regardless of whether or not he'll end up at Manchester City next season. He can't afford to waste a season if that is a genuine goal that he has, and you have to believe that it is. As one of the best strikers that has played in the Premier League, you have to believe he will want that record. And even if he is at this point in time still looking towards a potential departure next season, he's going to want to get as many goals as he possibly can, and I believe he will. I think he'll be in that race for the top for the Golden Boot again. Harry says, just saying that Kane said he will be staying this summer. For me, that isn't a great commitment. What do you think? You're saying for this summer and that season. I see what you mean there. He said I'll be staying at Tottenham this summer rather than this season. Any potential move in January for any player is extremely difficult. For a player of his quality, I can't see that coming. Now, where this goes next with Harry Kane, I was one of the first to break the news a few weeks ago that if Harry Kane does end up staying at Tottenham, there is a potential for him to go and actually sign a new contract at the club. And while on the forefront of it, that may sound like a very positive thing, I assume that will be with a release clause or with some get out of jail free card for him, that if, as I think it is inevitable, if he wants to leave Tottenham again next summer, it will be easier for him to do so. He'll get a big payday now with a pay rise, probably a big signing on bonus as well, but something that will just make it a little bit easier for him to leave the club next summer. And on the pitch, of course, that's a problem because we will be losing him eventually. I mean, potentially next summer if all of this does go ahead as it does seem to be the case now. And Oscar, I'm going to check out that there really quickly. But what this does do is it protects Tottenham's financial interests. Where if we are going to sell Harry Kane, Oscar, I think that's just with the Kane stuff. To be honest, I lost my trail of thought there as well. But so it protecting Tottenham's financial interests. If Kane is going to go, when they get him to sign that contract, if there's a release clause, it guarantees a certain amount of money for the club, and it won't be anywhere near 150 million because next year Kane is 30, or is he turning 29 next year? And there's only 2 years left on his contract, and it's just a much different situation. But by getting this contract signed, it makes Kane commit to the club for another season at least, and it also protects Tottenham's financial interests in the short-term future. So I think it is the best thing for all parties involved. But I think what needs to be made very clear is that it's not something that means Kane will spend his career at Tottenham. I personally think if he signs his contract, it makes it more likely that he will leave the club next summer. So let's try not to get too excited if and when that is announced. Mark says, when he wins the Golden Boot this season, all this will pale into insignificance. We'll worry about that next year. We will. We'll just enjoy having him at the club for another year, again, with the mixed emotions and with all that. And I think, Mark, you said a second ago that it's all water under the bridge. I've come to terms with it now. He can leave next season if he still wants to. And I agree with that. Rosemary says, great news. He makes the team stronger. I agree with you on that one. Michaleo says he has had weeks to say this. He has, but in the last few weeks, he was hoping to get that move to City. It's only today that we've started to really hear from Gold and Romano that Kane has accepted he's going to stay. So up until this point, he wanted to go, and he was still hoping that he could go, but now he's accepted that just probably won't happen. Marcus says, I'm somewhat more optimistic about the season now. Only negative right now is Ndombele's attitude towards leaving. Love him, but I'm tired of convincing him to stay after 2 seasons. And this is, if there is going to be a big departure at Tottenham in the remainder of this transfer window, it will be, you'd have to assume, Tanguy Ndombele, who wants to leave Tottenham at the moment, are trying to sell him, and according to a few reports, want to do so in the next couple of days in order to get a replacement in then. How much we're going to get for him, it's anybody's guess. We're certainly not going to recoup the money that we paid for him to Lyon in 2019, but Ndombele is one of the men to keep an eye on in regards to a potential move for the rest of this window. So that tweet from Gold is Nuno Espirito Santo and Pierluigi Galini set to speak to us imminently. Decent timing for the Spurs boss, as apparently there's been some big news. So that's them with their pre-game press conference for the second leg against Paços de Ferreira tomorrow. And hopefully we get some good quotes from Nuno out of that one. Mark says Paratici will have 12 months to find a replacement now, and look, that replacement could be Lautaro Martinez, it could be Dusan Vlahovic in 12 months time. Nobody knows. A lot could change in the window up until then as well. It could be a player that hasn't even been mentioned this summer, or it could end up being Harry Kane. I saw a good friend of mine, Joe Wademan, from Just Joe, the Just Joe football show, a Leeds fan, saying as far as he's concerned, this means Kane's at Tottenham for the rest of his career now, because at the age he's pushing on to, and the injury history he's had, what kind of moves can he force in the coming years? We'll have to wait and see. Santosh with the $3 super chat, thank you so much for that. I do appreciate it. Says, thoughts on Madueke and should we sign him? Look, I'll be honest, I don't know too much about Madueke, and I haven't really looked into him, because this is one I just won't happen, in my opinion. I think it's really, really difficult for this to materialise. He's had a fantastic start to the season with PSV. I know that much. And I know a lot of the people that I respect within the Spurs YouTube community, especially Cenk from the Spurs web, massive, massive fan of him. So, I certainly trust his opinion more than mine on this one. But I think for the money that PSV want and the other targets that we're apparently prioritising, I'd be very surprised if Madueke comes in this summer. And I wouldn't, for the money that's been mentioned there. He's a player that was in our youth academy that we let go. Yes, he's doing extremely well, but first of all, he's doing extremely well in the Eredivisie. It's a very difficult league to make that jump to the Premier League. And with Spurs examples, you can look recently at Vincent Janssen and Steven Bergwijn as well. But also, I just think there are better options out there for that amount of money, and I don't think we should prioritise the right winger. And I said the same about Adama Traore on Monday. I'd love to see him at Tottenham. I think he's a terrifying prospect for every defence he comes up against. He doesn't quite have the end product, but for 40 million, and when there are other positions that we need to prioritise a bit more, Madueke would not be anywhere near the top of my list. Tor says, now Sky Sports can't talk about the Kane saga while Arsenal are playing Chelsea. Sad news for Sky. It absolutely is. I'm sure they'll find something else to talk about in the coming days. Evan says, any news on Tomiyasu? It's gone completely quiet on that. It seems to be dead in the water. There were reports in Italian papers during the week that Tomiyasu was frustrated that the move didn't materialise. So I would think that one is done for now. Just quickly bringing an update. We'll be talking way more about these transfers later on our transfer roundup at 7 p.m. But we have gotten the here we go on Pape Matar Sarr to Tottenham Hotspur. Just quickly find that tweet from Fabrizio Romano yesterday, just to bring it to you word for word. He's tweeted twice about it. He said, first of all, Pape Sarr to Tottenham, agreement reached, and here we go. Deal set to be completed for €15 million. Personal terms agreed on verbal basis, waiting for contracts to be signed. Tottenham are now open to letting Pape Sarr stay at Metz on loan until June 2022, confirmed. And he tweeted a few hours later and said Tottenham have completed all details of the agreement for Pape Sarr, and he will stay on loan in France until 2022. Metz will receive €50 million guaranteed, plus important add-ons amount. Paperwork's time now with all parties, and Romano said he's been told he's a huge, huge talent. Romano also said he's been told that Pape Sarr could be the next Paul Pogba, which is certainly a very positive thing for any player that Spurs are bringing in. Mikalayo says, Gold had a fun analogy for Traore, killer that turns out to be your mate, so it doesn't harm you. Look, that's the wrong comment there. That's probably the perfect way to say, he'll dribble past your entire team 3 times in the space of 10 seconds when you won't be able to find a teammate in the box, or when he goes 1-on-1, you won't be able to put the ball in the back of the net. But look, hopefully, if we do get him in, something will materialise there. Comments and quotes starting to filter through from the press conference with Nuno Espirito Santo and Pierluigi Gallini, where Gallini has said on the Harry Kane news, we are very happy. We know how good Harry is as a player, and we know how important he is for the team. He's one of the best strikers in the world, and it is very big, important news for us. That's Pierluigi Gallini, who of course is yet to play with Harry Kane at Tottenham, saying it's very big and important news for us, and Tottenham fans were very happy. So those rumours will continue those quotes will continue to filter through over the next half an hour or so as Gallini and Nuno go on with their press conference. We will be back at 7 p.m. tonight with a more in-depth look at this and also some other transfers, getting some more context and some more reports on Pape Sarr and Adama Traore as well. So please do tune in for that. As well, if you haven't already, there's a link down at the top of the description. If you do want to vote for me as the best young content creator of 2021, I would massively, massively appreciate that, as I do all the support that is given to me on this channel. But if you do want to vote, the link is at the top of the description. Just scroll down to the best young section and pop in my name on the drop down and submit your vote at the bottom of the page. It will be massively appreciated. But for now, as always,